Hey guys, so I wanted to share another original Yoga Nidra with you. This I'm calling a Yoga Nidra, but this can be done as a guided meditation. You could do it in a traditional meditation asana, sitting upright. That's a good choice if you tend to get sleepy or drowsy while doing these. You could also do it laying down, but again, if you tend to be too relaxed, you fall asleep, kind of lose consciousness, then you may want to try sitting up. And finally, you could lay down in, say, a lazy boy, very comfortable recliner or something like that. And again, the main thing is remaining alert and awake when you do this. Okay, so you have basically three choices that you could make. So regardless, try and make yourself comfortable and still. And we're going to go inside. Take a deep breath in and let it all out with a sigh. Now take another deep breath and let it all go. Let your breath be natural. And begin to pay attention to the sensations that are generated by breathing. Sensations at the nostril, the throat, the chest, and the belly. Please avoid analyzing these sensations or comparing them to anything. Can you just feel them directly without any words? You do not need words to feel. No words can truly describe what you feel anyway. Notice how the words limit and take away from the actual experience. Notice if there is any expectation about what you should be feeling. If there are, let them go. Instead, focus on what you are feeling. No effort is required to do this. It is completely natural. The less effort you make, the easier it is to both let go and to feel. This may feel strange at first, but only because you are so used to making an effort. In time, you will learn to let go more and more. Don't take any of this too seriously. It's like playing a game. Just like when you were a little child, effortlessly playing and exploring. Have fun with it. Nothing we will do today will be difficult or serious. Everything is effortless, easy, natural, and fun. Now, what do you notice? Does your mind tend to wander? Do you get frustrated when your mind wanders? Why? Is it because of an expectation? How do you feel when there's an expectation that your mind should not wander, but it does? Do you feel good or bad? Now ask yourself, is it the wandering that does not feel good or the expectation? If you let go of the expectation, what do you find? The mind wanders, and it is okay. You are okay. You feel okay. There is the mind wandering, and yet everything is okay. Where did you get this idea that the mind should not wander? Did I say that? Where does this belief or expectation come from? Let it go. Do you believe you are in control of your mind or your thoughts? Why? When we actually observe the mind, what do we find? It wanders a lot. If the mind wanders, there's nothing to get upset about. It is natural for the mind to wander. What's unusual is normally we don't notice it wandering. Noticing is very important. So instead of getting upset, congratulate yourself for noticing that the mind is wandering. We are not here to try and judge or control the mind, but simply to observe it. Even if you wanted to control the mind, could you? Try it. How long were you able to keep your mind focused on your breath? So what we find is the mind wanders and we can't control it. But why? Well, how can you control something that you are not watching? If you drive your car with your eyes closed, what will happen? You will lose control. So now that you have noticed the mind wandering, please invite your mind to return to observing the breath. Most minds are like very lovable but untrained pets. There is no need to be cruel or get angry or frustrated with your mind. Your mind has just never had someone watching over it before. It's not your mind's fault that no one has been there to look after it. The mind has simply gotten used to doing what it wants to do, when it wants to do it. It goes here and there and gets into all kinds of trouble on its own. Just like an untrained pet animal, the untrained mind can get into a lot of trouble and create problems for its owner. Anxiety, depression, anger, hate, greed, fear, jealousy are some of the things our mind gets into on its own. If you are not watching your thoughts, they control you. They run you around trying to fix things that do not need fixing. But now you are here, observing the mind. You see it wandering. So ask it very nicely to follow the breath and to continue to follow it. Each time you notice the mind wandering, gently and kindly invite it back to feeling the next breath. Never worry about the previous breath. If you missed it, it is gone and there is nothing to worry about. Simply focus on feeling the next breath you are breathing right now. And now the next breath. And so on. When you notice the mind has been distracted, now you know exactly what to do. As you continue to follow your breath, notice that your body begins to relax naturally. And as your body begins to relax, your breath begins to slow down on its own. And as your breath begins to slow down, notice that your thoughts also slow down. As your thinking slows down, you can feel your body relax even more deeply. And as your body relaxes more and more deeply with each breath, notice your breathing becoming softer and shallower. And as your breath gets softer and shallower, allow yourself to notice the space between each breath. Notice these spaces getting longer and longer. There may be more space than breath, and you may barely be breathing at all. Your breathing might pause naturally for long periods of time. All of this happening on its own. You are not trying to make anything happen. You are simply observing what is happening. Now begin to notice that just as there is more space between each breath, there's also more space between each thought. Notice the space that is both between and around each thought. Does this space have a border or boundary? How big is it? Do you sense you are inside of this space? If so, where? Or maybe you sense you are outside this space looking in. If so, in what space are you residing? Is this space inside or outside of your body? Maybe you sense that this space is inside of your head. Is that true? How do you know this space is in your head? Maybe someone told you. Or maybe your senses tell you there is a space outside and there is a space inside. But I want you to look a little closer. In what space do you experience your senses? Isn't everything you experience, including your sense data, inside this same space? It may seem like there are two spaces. One we call inside, and one we call outside. But does this idea actually hold up to scrutiny? If we really pay attention, we see that there really is only one space. The other space, the outside space, is actually inside the first space. This illusion of a second outside space is created by our interpretation of sense data. But this happens inside of the first space. Every thought occurs inside of this same space. Isn't this true? Don't ask your mind to answer because it cannot. See what is true in this moment directly and intuitively. What is true right now without expectation or interpretation? Now gradually begin to deepen your breathing. Begin to move and stretch and bring yourself back. If you are laying down, you can make your way up to seated. And when you feel you're ready, you can open your eyes. All right, everyone. I want to thank you for joining me. I hope that you got something from that. If there's any way that I can support you at this time, please reach out and let me know. And as always, I greatly appreciate and can use your support either by becoming a Patreon on a patron on my Patreon page or with one-time donations. All the info will be linked below or on the site that you're on. Have a wonderful day, and I hope to see you again soon with another video. Namaste.